Detroit Lions fans, welcome back in. Real quick, members update. We're sitting at 25 Super Den members. If we get 5 more, massive memorabilia giveaway. Therese Ruckel, still waiting on you. Greg Kellogg, you still waiting on Greg Kellogg for the Kirby football?
Indeed, I am.
I'm going to give him one more week. All right. I'm going to give them 3 weeks total to reach out to me. I think that's fair. I don't want to jump the gun. I don't know if there's something going on in their personal lives and they can't get access to Detroit Den 313. So I'm going to be patient, give them a little time. But member stuff's out of the way. I'll get some shout outs at the end to some of our new members. Will, what are we talking here today?
Steve, man, as we always say, when people put stuff in the comments or DM us or run into us and say something, we listen. And if it's show worthy, we talk about it on the show. And this one, I think, is definitely show worthy. I think it could. Well, I will say it immediately caused me to do some soul searching. Like, am I doing this? Am I going too far with this thing? So, the DM reads, and I'll leave his name. I'll leave his name out of it because he's actually a good dude, and he wasn't trying to be a negative Nancy or anything like that or disrespectful. But it reads this. It says, Will, I generally love the show. Steve is hilarious, which who thinks Steve is hilarious? I mean, what are we talking about? But Steve is hilarious, and your perspectives are often different and refreshing. It says, that said, you guys may be being a bit of Detroit Lions slappies currently. It says, realistically, after losing both coordinators and not drafting a player opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, the roster passer, this team will be lucky to make the playoffs. It says, again, love the show. I just think a Super Bowl isn't realistic. We're probably 1 to 2 seasons away. Steve, how do you feel hearing that?
A lot to digest there. First of all, do I look like a clown to you, Will? Like I'm just here to tell jokes or something? Like I don't have some.
You know what I'm saying?
YouTube is about fun. All right. You guys come here to escape for 20, 30 minutes, listen to us talk. We have a little fun. We give some Detroit Lions insights, but a lot to digest in that message, Will. I said this the other day. I don't even know where to begin, honestly. I said this the other day. We lost both coordinators. We lost Ben Johnson. We lost Aaron Glenn, replacing them with Calvin Shepard and Johnny Morton. What's more important, the X's and the O's or the Joes? For me, all day, every day, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday, it's the Joes. When I look at the roster, our roster didn't get worse, did it? I think it's getting better by getting healthier. It's getting better by adding some key depth pieces that we added in free agency, DJ Reed, all the other guys that we signed going into the draft. We had an ugly draft, but a pretty draft, if that makes sense. We didn't need any massive playmakers, a wide receiver, a quarterback, a running back. So we didn't draft anything sexy. We beefed up the trenches. We got some positions of need. We got some projects that could be high-end guys in a couple years. I think our draft was phenomenal. So our roster didn't get any better or any worse. It got better. We lost some coordinators. I think that if I have to sit back and try to be as positive as I can be, I'm still not concerned. I'm still not concerned about losing Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn. That's what happens in the NFL. We talk about how Dan Campbell's coaching tree is starting to sprout. We're starting to send out some coaches to get some other NFL jobs. We'll see how they do, but I'm focused on Dan Campbell. Who's he replacing them with? I don't care what's going on with Chicago. I don't care what's going on with New York. I worry about what's going on with these Detroit Lions. I trust that Dan Campbell has hired the right pieces in place. Because correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Dan Campbell bring in Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson and they were kind of nobodies and turned them into somebodies? Is it impossible that he does that again? Like, I don't think he's getting enough credit or enough trust. I don't think fans have enough faith in him, Will.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he did inherit Ben, but he got rid of a lot of those guys and had the wherewithal to say, hold on, wait a minute. This Ben guy, I think we got something here. We're going to keep him around. But, yeah, no, I agree with you, man. You're dead on. I don't have any worries. Now, I do respect the fact that we lost both coordinators. And I do remember what happened in Philadelphia when they lost their coordinators. They had a little setback. I'm not saying that it's impossible that it will happen. Anything is possible in the NFL. Shoot, on any given Sunday, any team can win a football game. These are the best football players in the world. Even when you have a terrible NFL team, they still have professional athletes out there who you take them anywhere else, they're going to be the cream that rises to the top. So It's not a lack of respect that makes me say that the Detroit Lions aren't going to take a step back. Now, I've said it a few times. I think there's going to be some growing pains. I just don't think the growing pains are going to be so severe that it causes us to lose enough football games not to do what we plan to do. And I also think once we get into the dance, we'll be clicking. We'll have our young guys will have experience under their belts. Guys like Talik Williams, guys like Isaac Tesla, like they'll have experience under their belts. Hassani, the list goes on. Tate, Frazier, I'm not gonna name them all, but those guys will have experience under their belt at that time. The guys that are coming in as sophomores, especially TA, he'll be coming in and really he'll be a 2-year veteran in the playoff run. They always say a rookie by the playoff run, if you make it to the playoffs, that's a second-year guy at that point almost, man. And he's no longer wet behind the ears, not knowing what's going on, not knowing what to expect. So it's the same thing. TA will be a 3-year guy come playoff time, man. And so for those reasons, man, that's part of the reasons why I'm not worried. But Steve, I got a brief little video. It's been a while since we put a video on here, but I got a brief little video. I'll explain it after for the reason why I put it in here after, but I'm just going to let it spin.
You've already heard that. What I heard a few years ago was a poem titled Choose Your Hard. It goes like this: marriage is hard and divorce is hard. Choose your hard. Obesity is hard. Being fit is hard. Choose your hard. Being in debt is hard. Being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your hard. Communicating is hard. Not communicating is hard. Choose your hard. When I heard that, it hit me like a ton of bricks. However you slice it, whichever path you choose, it's going to be hard.
Steve, when I think about the Detroit Lions, I think about in the beginning of it, I think leadership. I think Sheila Hemp Ford. I think Chris Spielman. I think Brad Holmes. I think Dan Campbell. And there's a few more. But that's what I think about when I think about Detroit Lions and this thing being turned around from the foundation. And to my knowledge, all the people that I just named are still here. Right? They're still here. So for those reasons, I understand we lost the coordinator, but I think we gained some doggone good coaches as well. Coach Choice, I think his impact has been very underrated. I think he's a guy that is about to shoot up the coaching ranks here soon. I think his impact on Jahmyr Gibbs is being underrated. Coach Shep, he was thoroughly prepared to step into this role. Coach Morton, he has OC experience. He's been with some of the best coaches. He just came from working with Sean Payton, and he's been to Detroit before. I think about what this team is about, and I think it's everything that you need to win tough, rough, hard to win football games. We draft players that are built for that. Tough, gritty, heads up, intelligent football players that are ready to give everything they have in their soul to win football games. So that's the reason why. And we're not young anymore. We're not an old team, and we're still a youthful team. But these guys now, this core group, we got a few seasons under our belt together. The core group does. So it's not like they're not veterans. No, we got a young veteran group that's adding pieces to the puzzle. My question is, why would that be unrealistic to think that a veteran group, as you said, Steve, and I agree with you 100%, of the Joes, a veteran group of the Joes are going to forget what they need to do to win on Sundays. It's not always about the scheme. Most of the time, it's about the Joes. It's about the players. You could be the most phenomenal coach in the world. And we've seen some good coaches have some good runs and then they lose, especially in the college ranks. That's a perfect example in the college when guys graduate and this coach that was a wizard and was doing all this cool stuff. And those guys, now they got to lean on these freshmen and then they struggle. It's the same coach. Well, why would they struggle if it's about the scheme? It's not about the scheme as much as it is about the players. Those players that we have are still all dogs. They're still smart. They're still tough. They're still gritty. They still know how to win football games. They're going to be able to go to the coach and say, hey, listen, man, I like this look or I like that look. Jared Goff, for instance, he knows what he likes. He knows what's been successful. Why would Coach Morton, who said that he's not going to change much, not be successful if this was arguably the best offense last year and he's not changing anything? Jared Goff was here. What's the struggle going to be?
Like, we're not replacing anything on offense. We're adding to it. So I don't see any changes really coming. I've said before that if I'm Johnny Morton, I think I just landed in a garage full of Ferraris, and all I got to do is not crash the car. Like, I'm just going to drive it nice and safe, and I'll take my plays where I get them. I'll call a good game. I have a balanced offense. I don't have just one playmaker at one position. He's got playmakers on wide receiver, tight end, running back, a dominant offensive line, a smart quarterback. Like, I can't think of an offensive coordinator who's coming into their first year who's set up for more success than Johnny Morton. Like, this is an offensive coordinating position that I would imagine had 500 applications for people wanting to come here and be a coordinator because of what we have. Now, if I have to take off my slappy hat, if I have to be realistic, do I have some concerns? Yeah, I do have some concerns. The coordinators are further down the list. Higher on my list is what it's going to look like when everyone's healthy and how long it's going to take, mainly Lee McNeil, Marcus Davenport, Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive line. Are they truly 100%? I know Aiden Hutchinson got cleared the other day. Marcus Davenport, big question mark. We're not going to see Lee McNeil till probably close to Thanksgiving. Are we going to be a solid defense up front while those guys are hurt, banged up, and what's it going to look like when they come back? More high on my list is our schedule this year. I think when you start checking boxes, in the first box you got to check is winning your division. Well, we have two pretty big games right off the rip with Green Bay and Chicago. Those are two division games right off the rip. Can't lose those. Those are games you got to find a way to win. And then arguably, in my opinion, this is one of the most brutal away schedules I think I've ever seen for the Detroit Lions. At Baltimore, at Cincinnati, at Kansas City, at Washington, who beat us in the playoffs, at Philly, who just won a Super Bowl, at the Rams, who are playing really good football at the end of the year and have Matthew Stafford, at Minnesota on Christmas, and then to wrap up the season on the road in Chicago, where you never know what the weather's going to be. That is a gauntlet of an away schedule. It's brutal. That is higher on my list of concerns. Health and schedule. All right. As far as what did the message say? Something about I don't think the Lions win the Super Bowl this year. Well, I'm a gambling man, and I'll tell you this, that if you were to say, hey, Steve, would you bet on the Lions or would you take the field? I'll take 31 other teams to possibly win the Super Bowl because the odds are what's that, like 96% in my favor or something like that. So thank you for the free money. Yeah, the NFL's hard. We say it all the time. It is the hardest trophy to win in all of sports. In baseball, you got best of fives, best of sevens, hockey, best of sevens, basketball's best of seven. Like, the only thing that even comes close to competing with it is the college football playoff and March Madness. It's one and done. Don't exactly know who you're going to be playing the next week, but the Super Bowl is the hardest trophy to win. There's a reason that we haven't done it because it takes a really, really great team to do it. And there's no gimmies. There's no luck involved. Like, you have to be a good football team. You don't just show up and the best plays and the best players on paper don't mean anything. You got to win the football game. It's a tough game. I'm not being a slappy. I do have concerns. Just when I look at Johnny Morton, who's got the highest powered offense in the NFL, the only team I think you can make a case for would be the Buffalo Bills. Most of my concerns are defensively. It's been defensively for 2 or 3 seasons. I've been pretty consistent with that. What's it going to look like opposite of Aiden Hutchinson? Should we re-sign Zadarius Smith? Is Marcus Davenport going to play a full season? Is Alex Anzalone having a contract dispute right now? Like, we don't know exactly what's going on there. How's our new secondary going to look? What's our scheme going to be? Like, I have more questions about defense than I do offense, but I don't think we're slappies. I think we just present things in a more positive and upbeat manner. Like, I'm not going out and booking tickets to the Super Bowl parade just yet. I'll do that in late January when we get there and it's time. But This is a Super Bowl caliber roster. It's got a Super Bowl caliber head coach. we have a couple questions about our coordinators, but I trust Dan Campbell. He's been through this process before. Just like Brad Holmes scouts talent in college, Dan Campbell can scout talent when it comes to coaching. So
Yeah.
I have all the trust in the world in Dan.
Yeah, I do too, man. And as long as that leadership at the top doesn't change, I'm not going to be worried. I hear the players echoing that as well. I think Terry and Arnold said, and Aiden Hutchinson both said that. Hey, as long as Coach Campbell's still here, I'm not tripping. Like it is what it is. And I'm not saying that this is me paraphrasing for them. They even mentioned that they're not saying that, hey, I don't like my coaches, or I don't feel like the AG or that Chicago Bears coach wasn't good, or that I don't wish them well, but Coach Campbell still here will be just fine. I love that attitude. I think that he is very underrated as a hands-on coach. A lot of people label him as a guy who's a rah-rah guy and a meathead, and he doesn't know football. He's a super intelligent dude. This is a dude that started off his career with Bill Parcells. If you know anything about Bill Parcells, he doesn't hire guys that aren't educated at football and have a strong understanding of what they're going to be expected to do. And then he's went on to work with a bunch of great coaches, man. So for those reasons, man, I definitely say that I respect the question and the perspective. I don't want to take anything away. I understand why somebody could be sitting in that space to drop me that type of DM, but and I respect the tact too. But I will say this, because he even mentioned that, hey man, I wanted to slide you a DM and not put it in the comments to come off negative or whatever, but I figured we could talk about it. Yeah, you can drop like, and some people do, but I don't mind any of the banter in the comments as long as we're having true football banter or banter about whatever we're talking about, not just, hey, Stephen Will are idiots and whatever. Like I hate hearing them talk, but I watch every episode and
I fast forward when they're talking just so I can hear what.
Will look super ugly without a hat on and whatever. So whatever the case may be, man, as long as we can talk, even if it's negative, I'm down with it. I'm here to banter. That's what this is about. Me and Steve say that all the time. So no worries at all, man. If you want to drop something in the comments or challenge something or whatever, man, we're here for it. We love it. This is why we're here. This is ultimately why we started this platform. So if you get on here and talk about things that we would be FaceTiming talking about anyway. So I mean,
yeah, I think it's a great question. I mean, I don't have any problems with the question. It's definitely worth talking about. I think that's the talk of the town for the Detroit Lions is the two coordinators. Like that's the big massive change. But I'm a firm believer that we have a team full of players who are going to go to the Pro Bowl. That doesn't happen often. I even see things like, what Penny Sewell said about Hank Fraley the other day when he was jokingly saying that he was going to retire if Hank Fraley didn't come back to Detroit. Like we have position coaches that have, just as much impact on this team as an offensive coordinator. And your offensive coordinator is sitting in meetings with all of these position coaches, and they're going to try to keep things as similar as possible. I don't think we need to change too much. So yeah, I don't hate the question. I think it's a great question, but we don't talk other sports. We don't talk Tigers. We don't talk Red Wings. We don't talk Pistons. We don't talk Michigan football. We talk Detroit Lions year round. All right. There's a lot of people that kind of just move on and they shift and, the Tigers are playing right now, so we're going to focus on them. Like I watch them. We'll give them a quick shout out. We talk about the Pistons when they're in the playoffs. It's worth mentioning. We're a Detroit podcast, but we focus on the Detroit Lions. We do this every single day. It's not a hobby, Will. This ain't a hobby no more. This is for a living. So we're pretty in tune with what's going on with the Lions. We know the concerns, we know the questions, but if there's just nothing to talk about, we could just hop on here and just talk Trey Hendrickson, 3 or 4 days a week, or, should we fire Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell? Like we could come up with some off the wall shit to talk about, but the questions like this are worth mentioning and having that conversation, because if you and I were sitting at a bar having a beer and someone came up and asked us, I'd be like, hey man, pull up a stool. How much time you got? Because we can have a talk about this. And I understand, yeah, we might not be Super Bowl favorites, but I think we're definitely going to be in the conversation from start to finish, and we'll see how the season ends. And I want a Super Bowl more than anything else in this entire world. Once I get the Super Bowl rule, I can ride off into the sunset. I can die a happy man. I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish in life. I just need to see Detroit Lions parade on Woodward with a Super Bowl, and then I'm done with life. I'm ready to go.
Can I drop some personal stuff on here, Steve? Can I?
Oh boy, gosh, well, You're not wearing pants right now? What's going on?
Hey, that nobody ever gets to know what I said. They almost found out when the camera dropped one day. I don't know, but this kind of threw me. It made me laugh, man. It threw me off, and then my kids keep me very humble. But somebody had hit me in a DM, and they said, "How come when you guys auction off stuff?" And I didn't even bothering you with this, but how come when you guys auction off stuff, you never auction off any autograph stuff? Like you guys never like autograph stuff. So I'm like talking to my daughter. So my daughter happened to be with me at the time. So I'm like, when I get it, I'm on her. I'm like, hey, Rocks, look, check this out. Dad's kind of a big deal. Like kind of a big deal. You know what I mean? So I'm busting her chops and she's like, yeah, right, whatever. You probably sent that to yourself or so. She's busting my chops. So humbling experience. And I don't know. I never, if somebody like flat out, like they were saying in the comments, maybe, but I don't know, man. It just don't feel right. But I like to bust my kids' chops. So on top of that, Steve, I gave you this sauce, but I'll let the people bust my chops a little bit. So this is starting to get into a space to where people see us out and about and they're like, hey, you got a podcast or something? They're like, do you? Like, it's kind of cool, whatever. So, and it's starting to become more and more common. I'm riding with a guy at work doing what we do. And he looks over at me and he goes, hey, man, I know you from somewhere. And I'm like, here we go. I'm gonna ask about the podcast. Like, here we go. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'm not sure where you might know me from. You like the Detroit Lions? And he's like, yeah. I mean, I'm not a big football guy, but
Probably a Packers fan or something.
Right. So I'm like, I don't know. He's like, your kids play sports? And I'm like, yeah, man, my kids play sports. Any of them run track? Like, yeah. It's like, well, where at? I tell him the school my daughter runs track at. And he's like, yeah, your daughter's that high jumper, ain't she? And I'm like, yeah. And I debated whether or not I was going to tell her about it.
I'd have taken that to the grave if you did tell her.
She's been busting my chops ever since. So, like, as a guy who played some sports and did some things and had some success, and a guy who's doing a podcast with my buddy, man, and we're having some success.
Old news. You're old news, man.
It's pretty much just that old news.
Just wait if I were Roxy, and I hope she watches this, I would go out and buy a newspaper today and wait a week and come give it to you and say, hey, this is what you are. You're just old news to me.
I hope she doesn't watch this because she'll probably do it. Yeah, very. I got humbled very quickly. I'm like, yeah, man, he's about to ask about the podcast. No, man, you're Roxy's dad, right? That high jumper's daughter. Yeah, that's me, buddy. Yeah, that's
just washed up. A has been who maybe was a never was. I don't know. That's just the only way to put it. Old man now, just sitting in the office talking Lions football, but not relevant. Not relevant to my life. That's
all I got, man. I'm just gonna pick my face up off the floor, Steve, and hopefully this thing starts growing. So maybe I become somebody at some point. I don't know.
Unlikely.
Fact.
You got anything else for tonight?
Oh, that's it, man.
Let me give a quick shout out to some of our new members. Exalted Knows 543 upgraded. Envision Productions rejoined. Curtis Lee rejoined to the Loyalty Den. Willie Williams joined a day ago. So I think we're all caught up with our new members. Again, we're at 25 Super Dead members. I have another helmet. If Teresa Ruckel doesn't reach out to me in the next, I'll say 9 days, I'll give her a week from Tuesday, because Tuesday was the day we did the live show. I'll give her a week from Tuesday. And I think same thing with Greg Hollag. That would be 3 weeks. Try to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe something's going on. We'll have a little patience and wait, see what happens. So stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.